Hi, it is Tootie Tagerly live Tuesdays close to noon. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that has pretty much been top of mind for most of the conversations I've had with people over the past months. I'd say since maybe May-ish, which is the Great Resignation. And towards the end of the spring, I was supporting say 5 different clients who were actively in career transition, interviewing, looking to transition and also negotiate to a new position. And they did. And the conversations that I've been having much more recently over the past months have been with leaders who are looking at their company, their culture and processes, and who are looking in dismay at, oh my gosh, this great resignation is happening. How do I keep and retain my people? What do I do that feels good? What do I do that really gets to the heart of what matters to them? So what I wanted to share is 3 themes, 3 R's of what leaders can do in terms of setting up the atmosphere of a fantastic working place and relationships and culture and processes, these structures that we put in place at work so that people want to keep working with us, working for us, working in this particular company. So 3 R's. The first one is relationships. And an ongoing theme when I talk over and over again to leaders, especially ones who are expected to hit those OKRs, those quarterly numbers, those goals, those deadlines, is that we can fall so often into this performative leadership mode. You got to hit this, you got to complete this, you got to hit all the to-do lists. But I was reading a quote from an article this morning, I think an insider article, which said something like, code is easy, people are hard. And I think that's the first R, the first way to really build the right place and atmosphere to work, which is focus on relationships. Move beyond this unending drive and grind of performative leadership. You must perform and hit all of these goals to be valued as a person. And of course you have to perform, right? I'm not saying we're going to get rid of performative leadership, but balance that out with genuine relationship and caring for people. And what that means could be as simple as making sure that the start of each one-on-one has connections with people. It could be looking at the people who you really value, the team members you really value, the allies, the peers, the leadership you really value, and thinking, what would it take to nurture this relationship over time? Not just today, not just for today's meeting and deadline, but what would it take to build this relationship over the course of my career at this company? And what would it look like if we created a culture that valued relationships? I wouldn't have to say, I'm not even going to go out on the limb and say valued relationships equally to performance, because there's a contract we're making when we're working, but bumped up the value of relationships more, where it's not 100% about performative leadership. That's one key to building a great company culture and getting people to want to stay and avoiding the great resignation. The second, and this is related, the second R is recognition. I think coming out of this unprecedented 2020, and then we're seeing this still through 2021, is that what we want, what people want, what workers want, what people, employees want, changes in pandemic times. And recognition is always important. But yet, some of our values might have changed as we spend more time at home. Some of our values might have changed as we spend more time trying to connect to people because we've been missing it so much, even as things open up a little bit and get shut down a little bit with Delta. But what is the recognition that people truly crave? I'll give you an example. I'll actually give you 2 examples that come to mind. Many companies have an unlimited vacation policy. It's like, yeah, we believe in balance. We believe that you should rest. We don't believe in just performative relationships. Go ahead and take vacation. But how many times does a skeptical employee working at one of these companies say, yeah, you say unlimited vacations, but none of the leadership actually takes vacation? Or isn't this just a scheme so that you don't have to pay me out when I leave the company, this unlimited vacation, like funny money thing? So things that I've heard from a couple of leaders, which I think is a really wonderful thing, is first, as a leader, really model this. Take the vacations. Take the vacations, be offline, learn to delegate to people, and use this to model to your teams. The second thing that I've really seen work really well at the company policy level is to have unlimited vacation, but mandate a certain amount. Mandate 2 or 3 weeks of it. Just be like, you're required to do this. This is simply what you must do. And our brethren in, I believe, Germany and France actually have this built in as some of labor laws, which I think is wonderful. And then a third strategy that I've heard is having company-wide shutdowns. One of the freakouts about going on vacation is when you come back, there's going to be so much work and emails and all this stuff to catch up on that you almost don't want to do it. So the beauty of a company-wide shutdown is it's a period of time where everyone's going to be offline. So that's one example to think about as leaders. What is it that people really recognize and crave, especially during pandemic times? And of course, there is the salary, the impact, the projects, the bonuses, the titles. That is traditional recognition. I'm pushing you in this time of the Great Resignation to think beyond those typical recognitions into other things that people care about. My partner works for a nonprofit, and nonprofits don't pay the best, but one of the things that they do to recognize is that the people there, some people are struggling and suffering more than others. So if they can't be the ones to like recognize people with pay, then they recognize it with a system of, all right, for a period of time as a company, we are going to have every other Friday be off for the entire company. So that's another way to look at recognition. And then the last R, what to do for company culture in the Great Resignation, is revision. And it's a little bit of a stretch. I thought relationships recognition worked really well, and I needed to find a third R. But what I mean about revision is that we are in times where we've never had this kind of Great Resignation before. And when I think about the word revision, it's being able to see clearly and transparently what's happening as a leader, and then be willing to take another look, another perspective at it, another look to say, all right, maybe that didn't work. Let's try something else. Let's try something different. And when I think about revision during this time of the Great Resignation, it hits a couple of things. It hits the fact that what do people want? They want a company to be able to grow and change with them. They want to be able to have a company support them in their growth and change, whether that's implementing 360 feedback or having feedback be much more continuous so that you don't have to wait for a dreaded performance review cycle. The other part of it is part of company culture is being able to figure out what that right line is between full, utter transparency, laying it out as it is, and being able to keep up this vision and this dream of, well, we might be able to do this. We may not want to tell every single person that we are 100% definitively going public on this date because there's a whole bunch of variables and things that could change. So part of revision is be as open and transparent as possible with news that you tell and share with your team, with performance feedback and continuous feedback, with changes to company culture and policies. Be open as transparent as possible and have the inside wisdom, whatever you call it, to keep being willing to take a new perspective and change it and experiment it. Yeah, so that's it. How you keep good people during this Great Resignation period. Really think about these 3 R's. Focus on the relationships over performative leadership. Figure out what recognition means for people during this still in the pandemic phase, because it's not just about salary and bonus and title. There's more. People want more there. And then finally, be willing to revise, be willing to see clearly, view different perspectives about how transparent and open you can be, and about how transparent you can and open you can be about feedback and how people want to grow. All right, that's it for today, and I'll see you next week. Bye.